let's make mayonnaise. Carnivore mayonnaise to be exact. Now if you want to learn a little bit more about that, stick around to the end. Hey, I'm Henry and I'm from Carnivore Capers. I'd love to give you tips and tricks to help you in your carnivore journey. Now if that's the sort of thing that interests you, have you smash the like button as well as subscribe, and also hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when we upload more videos. Right, let's go check out how to do this. Okay, now one of the first things you're going to be needing are 4 eggs. So we've got the eggs right here. We're also going to be needing a long, thin container that we can be mixing up with the hand mixer. And we also need only 1.5 tablespoons of vinegar, and also melted lard or melted butter. So in this particular case, I ran out of my lard, so I added some butter to it. So I'm going to be melting that up in just a moment. And then once we've done that, we're going to be needing to separate the whites from the yolk. So let's go ahead and do that. Now one of the first things we're going to be doing is having to melt our lard and our butter. So I'm just going to be doing that. While it's actually melting, I'll then go ahead and separate the yolks from the white. I actually saw one of the carnivorous chef do this, and it actually blew my mind when he did it. So he obviously just put the entire thing together like that, and you're thinking, how's that separating? Well, what he did was he grabbed it out with his fingers. He used his fingers like that. Whoops, try not to break them in the process. Get the yolk off them, and then put them into a container, which is what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to do that and separate them all and add them to the container. Now it goes without saying that you absolutely need to have spotlessly clean hands while doing this. I'm going to turn the heat off on the butter and the oil for a minute so that they don't burn. I'm going to put this aside, and you can use the egg white for lasagna sheets. So I like to keep these aside. I will use them probably tomorrow, so I'll just put them aside for now. Okay, so one of the things I have to show you is the fact that you need to make sure you turn the oil off pretty quickly, otherwise it will burn. This is butter, and butter burns extremely fast. So I allowed it to actually get into chunks, and I allowed the heat to just melt down the last of the butter. So we're just going to come back to have a look at the rest of the process. Now the first thing we need to do is only add about a tablespoon of vinegar, white vinegar. I'm using white vinegar. You can use any kind of vinegar you like. Now what that does, it emulsifies it. And then what we need to do is get our stick blender. As you can see, I have my little stick blender just here, and then we begin to blend it up. Now you can always add a little tiny bit, and I would suggest only about a teaspoon or even half a teaspoon at a time, to if it's not strong enough in vinegar for you. Don't add too much, or this won't work. Now, all we need to do, making sure you hold onto your container. I would always suggest get a long, thin container, and then you just use that to blend it all together like that. Now, while we're doing that, we can add a bit of salt if we wish to, and I do want to put salt to it. I'll take that out. Just add a little bit of salt. That's enough. Excuse the mess. Now we just continue blending it until we're happy. That'll do. It doesn't need to be too much. Now, one of the other things we need to do is make sure we grab something that can pour a little bit of oil in at a time. So I'm going to pour a little bit of this in here. Now, if there's not enough oil, you can always add a bit more. And it recommends we do this slowly. So I'm going to just lift it up a little bit and pour that in, and then proceed to blend it. Making sure I hold on to this container. Making sure I hold on to the container, because once it gets thick, you can lose control of the container very, very easily. So as you can see, Mixing it through very nicely. You just go in the up and down motion like this. And let's go add some more oil. I'm just going to add a little bit more oil to that. So that is about 1.5 cups of oil I'm using. I'm going to pour a little bit of this into this. And then we'll go back to blending. It's not quite thick yet, so we'll just keep going until it becomes thick. It is beginning to thicken up, as you can see. I'll just move that out of the way. It is slightly beginning to thicken up. Nowhere near to the consistency I like yet. So I'll add just a little bit more. I do like my mayonnaise a bit thicker than most. And do remember that once you've actually put this in the fridge, this will become very thick because the lard and the butter will start to solidify. And that will thicken up the mayonnaise mixture as well. As you can see, this is beginning to thicken up very nicely. Not there yet, but it's doing well. Add a bit more oil to it now. This is where I really need to focus on holding onto this container, because I did this once before and it flew everywhere. I think I might have to add a little bit more oil to it, but that is getting quite thick, as you can see. It's getting very thick. It's not quite to the consistency I want. Now I'm also going to right now give it a bit of a taste test to see whether I like the flavour. I might need to have to add a little bit more vinegar. Actually, that's probably about perfect. So I'm just going to go and melt a little bit more butter, and I'll be right back. Now make sure you keep a very close eye on the butter and you don't let it burn, otherwise it will ruin it. Okay, I'm hoping this is going to be enough. We'll find out in just a moment. Just add a little bit more to this. Only about half a cup, about 1/4 cup at a time just here. Let's just go from here. I like it a tiny bit thicker than that still. So I'm going to use this as my last amount of butter. What I did is I added another about probably 1/2 cup of butter and melted that down. As you can see, that's really quite thick now. It's really quite thick, so that's exactly how I want it. Just a tiny bit thicker. So a little tiny bit of more oil, bit more butter. Only the smallest amount, I don't need too much. And just put that in. That's about a tablespoonful. So let's hopefully we're not going to overdo it this time. And let's face it, the more fat you put in here, the thicker it'll get. Okay, let's just have a look at that. Look how thick that is. That is absolutely gorgeous. I might even do a little tiny bit more. Little tiny bit more. I think then I'll finish it at that. I won't add any more than that, because I think otherwise it'll be too much. I think even only that'll be all I need to do. Any more than that, it'll be too thick. That is about perfect. I don't want to be adding too much more than that. That is gorgeous. Try a little bit on the side. Oh, that. I could put a tiny bit more vinegar in that. Of course, the oil melted it down quite a bit. I'm going to add about a half a teaspoon of vinegar into this to see if I can help it to just get that little bit of extra flavour to it. Is that half? Yes, half a teaspoon. You don't need much, just the tiniest amount, just to get that lovely vinegar flavour. Oops, too much. Just to get that lovely vinegar flavour you get when you have mayonnaise. Let me just put this over here, and we'll see how it turns out once we mix it through. And hopefully it will improve it. Might add a little bit more oil now that I've added that little bit of vinegar. That might actually affect the thickness of it. Let's see if that affects its flavour. See what it tastes like. Oh, that's perfect. I can add that last little bit of oil and that'll be it. That'll be the last of it. That's all I'm going to be doing for the rest of the mixture. That is absolutely perfect. Just scrape off this container. I'm going to unplug that so I don't accidentally zap it while I'm scooping things out. Safety first, as I say. Alright, let's put that in. Alrighty. Let's add a bit more. Alright, that's good. Now I'll just scoop that last little bit out here. And I'll go put this in to get washed. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so what I'm just going to do now is just pour this into here, and then once I've done that, that'll be pretty much ready to cool off, and then we can have a proper look at it once it has cooled down, because once it's cooled down it'll go much thicker. Now we don't want to leave any of this behind, so we just scoop out as much as you can. If you've got one of these rubber spatulas, then that's really awesome. That'll help you a lot. Alright, that is exactly how you make mayonnaise. The oil is designed to help thicken it, and if you don't have the oil, you can't thicken it. Good thing about this is a fat bomb. If you're struggling to keep up with the fat in your diet, smear this over your steak or your chops or whatever meat you happen to be eating, and you will be getting your fat intake for that meal. And there you have it. Carnivore mayonnaise, thick and creamy and ready to go over the top of any steak or any meal you choose to have that is of the carnivore diet. Now if you got some value out of this video, have you smash the like button as well as subscribe, and also hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when we upload more videos. Hey, while you're at it, why not consider sharing, and also leave a comment down below and let me know what you think of this mayonnaise. Alright, now also to let you know, right here is a video I believe you might like. Down here is a video YouTube thinks you might like. Right here, well, that's an image of my head, and if you click on that, you'll be able to subscribe. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and bye for now.